Okay, so here we've got a group frequency table, which shows us the weight of a group of people. So there's 2 people, the weight between 40 and 50, 15, the weight between 50 and 60, and so on. And we need to work out an estimate for the mean. And it's going to be an estimate because we don't know exactly what weights these 2 people are. We only know they're between 40 and 50 kilograms. So whenever you see a question like this, very simple set of steps you need to follow every single time. So we've got our column with our categories, we've got our column with our frequency, and we now need to add 2 extra columns, and you always do this. So because it's grouped, what we're going to do is we're going to try and think of a number that represents this group as best as we can, and what it's going to be is the midpoint. So you can either work out the midpoint by adding the 2 numbers together and dividing by 2. So 40 plus 50 is 90, divided by 2 is 45. Or you can just see that the number in halfway between 40 and 50 is going to be 45. So we're going to add an extra column for our midpoints. So this one's going to be 45. Halfway between 50 and 60 is 55. Halfway between 60 and 70 is 65, 75, and 85. Okay, be careful here. Even though there's a pattern on this one, sometimes in these questions, the categories will be different sizes. The groupings will be different sizes, so you can't always follow a pattern. So always double check you've got the right midpoints. So once you've worked out the midpoints, you've got a 4th column, which is where you're going to work out the frequency times the midpoint. So you're going to do this column times this column for each row in the table. So our first one is going to be 2 times 45, which gives us 90. Our second one is going to be 15 times 55, which we don't know calculator is 825. The next one is 19 times 65, which is 1235. Then 10 times 75 is 750. And 1 times 85 is 85. So we've got our 2 extra columns that we've now filled in. Okay, so this is a point where some people make mistakes. We're now going to work out totals, but only for this column and this column, not for your midpoints. We're not interested in a total for the midpoints, only the frequency and the frequency times the midpoint. So if you look at the total for the frequency, it's 2 plus 15 plus 19 plus 10 plus 1, which gets you 47. Then you find your total for your 4th column, and if you add those numbers up, so 90 plus 825 plus 1235 plus 750 plus 85, you get 2,985. Your final step then, for your final estimate for the mean, you're going to do this number divided by this number, and it's always that way round, so make sure you don't do this number divided by this number. You should see that your final answer should make sense. So if I do 2,985 divided by 47, I get 63.51063, etc. So if I just round it to 2 decimal places, I get 63.51. And if you see, that kind of makes sense. All of our weights are in between 40 and 90, so 63.51 sounds like a reasonable answer. Remember your units, so it's kilograms, and that is your final estimate. So 4 steps: add extra columns, work out the midpoint, frequency times the midpoint, add up the totals, and do that divided by that.